Sometimes the best stories in golf aren't found on tour. You'll find them at the back of the range. And here's your host, Ben Adelberg.
And once again, welcome to the back of the range. I am your host, Ben Adelberg. This is episode 231. Did I or did I not tell you that you would get 3 episodes this week? I would not let you down. In fact, this week is actually turned into the week of the MidAm. You know, the first 2 episodes, actually kind of reunions. Both Geronimo Esteve and Gene Elliott returned for a second appearance here at the back of the range. Now, I know Gene's not technically a MidAm. He's more of a senior am and kind of a legend these days because I don't really know of a MidAm that wants a piece of this guy right now. He's the reigning US and British senior amateur champion. Yeah, he won them both in the same year. And closing out the week, got another US MidAmateur champion. In fact, my guest this week is the 13th United States MidAmateur champion to be a guest on the back of the range. Now, how did all that happen? Well, really, it's thanks to you, the listeners, that have supported this podcast from day one. So thank you for all the support. It really does mean a lot. My guest on this episode captured the 2005 US MidAmateur Championship at the Honors Course in Tennessee. Yes, Kevin Marsh is my guest on this episode. We shared some stories about that Pepperdine National Championship in 1997. Now, remember when Jason Gore led the Waves to the win at Conway Farms and their coach had the chicken pox and, you know, they had to find someone to step in as interim coach for the championship? Well, that guy? Yeah, that was Kevin Marsh. We got into that story again. We talked about his amateur career that has opened so many doors for him and his family. Another cool thing about this episode is that he shared perhaps the coolest Tiger Woods story I have ever heard on this podcast. It comes near the end of the episode. You know, we're chatting about his experience playing in the 2006 Masters, and then he drops this anvil of a story on me. And even when I was listening back to the episode with my post-production editing staff, I was still like, that story is just incredible. But the first thing we got into during this episode was regarding the 2022 East-West matches. It's returning to Maridoe next year. You know, the best mid-ams and senior ams in the country, East versus West. Well, big announcement. We got that out of the way right up front. And then we dug into Kevin's amateur career. Remember, do the right thing for yourself, for your family, and for your loved ones. Follow the back of the range on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And please leave a review in Apple Podcasts. You'll be glad you did. Oh, and I almost forgot. The year's almost over. I really thought I'd be off the road. No more tournaments to cover. Shut it down. Wait till next year. But oh no. We're going to run it back one more time. I'm heading back to Sea Island, Georgia for the Jones Cup Junior Invitational. Back at it again, hanging with the best juniors in the world. So, can't wait. That's why you got to follow on Instagram. And also, go follow Jones Cup Invitational on Instagram because that's where you'll get your last fix of content from me in 2021. Let's get this episode started. Kevin, welcome to the back of the range. How are you?
Ben, doing fantastic. Happy to be a part of it.
Hey,
thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Last time I saw you was, I believe, wow, it's really been just about a year ago at the East-West matches at Maridoe Golf Club. That sounds about right, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. It was actually slightly over a year, and we're just inside a year now of 2.0. It's going to be awesome.
Well, it's amazing how we've just directed this episode right to the East-West matches right off the bat, almost like we had some news to share about this match. It's basically a year away, just like you said. For listeners that obviously are that know about it or maybe are a little unfamiliar, this is something that was probably 20 years in the making to get this off the ground. Last year was the inaugural East-West matches, pitting 16 of the best mid-ams and senior ams from the east coast of the country, eastern half of the country against the western half of the country. And if I remember right, now weren't you a captain of the West team that was victorious last year? Go ahead and talk about your team. See, I'm just setting you up beautifully for this.
Well, yeah, it was. It was a long time in the making. I know there's been several people in the amateur golf world and groups of us over the years that have really tried to, get something like the East-West matches off the ground. And we just, for whatever reason, it just all came together with Scott Harvey, really taking the lead to make it happen. And then, to establish a relationship with Albert Huddleston, who just is as passionate of a guy as you could find about amateur golf, that I know of in this generation, certainly, that has an amazing facility in Dallas there at Merido, that wanted to, host it. So it kind of all came together, and, we collaborated and for, I don't remember how long it was probably close to a year. And it all, really just kind of came together with a lot of hard work by Scott Harvey and Albert and myself and Skip Berkmeyer and a few other of the guys that, really pushed for this to happen. So we're really fortunate. I mean, it's just, and so I helped out Jim Holgreave, who was the official captain for the West last year, and I was his assistant captain, and it was just an honor to, be a part of it and, see all the guys play their hearts out and just have so much fun. And it was great.
Yeah, I was really impressed with not just the play, but also it seemed like everything that could go right in a team match play format did go right, because every day, it's 3 days. You have a first day, which is, just a 4-ball session, and then 2 foursome sessions on the second day, and then singles on the final day. But it seemed that every session ended on that 17th hole, par 3, where all the teams were gathering, watching the final match come in. You don't normally see that all the time. And then, of course, in the singles, what better way to finish it to have it come down to the final match? And, oh, by the way, you have Nathan Smith, a 4-time US MidAm champion, representing the East against Kristovich on the West, and he pulls out this incredible up and down on 18 to lock everything up.
Yeah.
I mean, everything, I was looking at you, I was looking at Harvey, I was like, man, who's writing this shit? Because, I mean, how'd you guys figure this out? This is ending so perfectly for an inaugural, because, as you know, I mean, you've played a lot of team matches and different tournaments. If it doesn't get started on the right foot, if it's not highly contested, it's going to just kind of evaporate into kind of a hit and giggle, and then at some point people would be like, I've played it, I don't want to play it anymore. But that is not the case. This thing could not have started any better.
No, it really couldn't have. Regardless of who ended up winning, I mean, obviously we feel great about, Kristovich's amazing up and down on 18 and, being able to, pull out a win for the West. But it was, even if it didn't end that way, I think it checked every box.
Right,
I mean, it was just incredible. It really, we knew it could get to that point, but, I think everybody thought it would take a little bit of time, to happen organically, and it just happened so fast.
Yeah.
And I mean, when you really look back at it, I mean, aside from, there's always been in the amateur world, if you look at in the mid-ams especially, and even senior am golf from my time, playing mid-am golf and being a part of, tournaments with seniors in certain divisions, whatever. There's always been, that real special player or two that kind of separates themselves, going way back, even before our time. There was always, the Jay Siegels of the world, and John Harris's of the world, and Buddy Marucci's, and, Vinny Giles, and these guys that really kind of separated themselves, and, Tim Jackson, and everybody kind of gets on these runs where they're in a position in their life where they, are comfortable and they've got the time to really play a lot of golf and, work on their games and invest a lot of time into, their schedules to play some quality golf. And, the reality is the majority of guys that are, and especially in the mid-am world, just don't have that luxury to do that. So, you know, they're all really good players. So I think it kind of equals everybody out, right? So, you know, you take out, you know, like right now, obviously, you know, with Stuart Hagestad and what he's doing is just at a whole different level than what most other guys in the MidAm world are doing. And so everybody else most of the other guys all kind of fall into that next bucket, and
right.
they're all just really, really good. And, you know, if we all play each other, you know, 10 times, it's probably going to end up, you know, no more than 6-4, you know, like you're just not going to have guys blowing guys out. I mean, it's just because they're so evenly matched. And so when you put these matches together in the East West, it's just like you could almost do a blind draw honestly, and it's going to end up close, you know. And with that many matches, obviously, you know, by Sunday singles, you know, we were down, I think 5 points going into the Sunday singles. And, you know, obviously if our guys don't play well that day and the East plays well, and, you know, it could have been kind of a blowout, but, you know, I just don't think it's ever going to be like one of these long runs of certain, you know, one side, you know, winning by big margins.
You don't see a 2004 Ryder Cup situation happening with like a 18-9 kind of a whooping. That
it's possible.
Okay.
It's certainly possible.
Okay.
But I just don't think you're going to get that, you know, 3 or 4 times consecutively.
Right.
You know, I just don't think you're going to have these runs because I just think there's just so many good players now, and especially now after hosting the first one, I mean, just everybody's talking about it.
Yeah.
You know, I think a lot of people, you know, that maybe didn't, you know, hadn't really paid attention to it. And now that they know it's there and it's a goal to make the team, you're going to have even more guys that are going to really, you know, try to gear up their schedules and maybe add an event or two to make sure they, you know, make the team. And so I think it's going to be even more balanced moving forward. I mean, it's just hard to beat what we did the first time, but I just think it's just going to be really cool to see new players be exposed to it, you know, each and every time we do this.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Holtgreave. He was the victorious captain and you were his assistant, but I'm, you know, not sure exactly when this episode is being released, but I think it's safe to say we can announce the fact here that you've been chosen as the captain of the West team. Not sure you're going to be able to bring as many tears and emotion to it as Captain Holtgreave did, but that's a tall task. You also have a opposing captain on the East side. There is a new captain that has been selected. So, you know, Paul Simpson maybe will be playing this year instead of being a captain. That sounds frightening for you. That can't be something you're looking forward to. But the captain of the East team is the 2-time victorious United States Walker Cup captain, Nathaniel Crosby. Good luck. This guy's just a winner. What do you do? Like, are you bribing him with something? Are you sending him a case of wine to congratulate him? That's not good news for the West, is it?
No, it's not. But, you know, I'm hoping maybe, you know, he's such a looming figure that the guys on the East are going to be nervous to play for him. I don't know.
Looming is a word we've not used here at the back of the range, but I love it. He's looming. He'll be looming a lot of places at Meridell.
I may not be having the same amount of tears that Jim Holtgreave did, but I will be shedding some tears from the abuse that Nathaniel's going to be giving me.
There you go. I mean,
it's just going to be brutal, but I'm fully prepared for it. I've experienced it before from Nathaniel on several other occasions. So, you know, I'm just hoping the guys on my team play well and kind of silence him a little. It's going to be a miracle if they can do that.
I want to see if I can be around for how many sentences start by him by saying, you know, when I was captaining the Walker Cup team, what we did, I'm sure that's going to be, So, but now you're saying, but you just mentioned Stuart Hagestad who's going to be on the West team. You just mentioned Stuart Hagestad that was on the West team in 2020, and is the reigning US MidAmateur champion. You also have a former member of this team, Gene Elliott, who is now the reigning US Senior Amateur champion. 50% of the team is based on points, and then the other 50% is based on captain's picks that you have at your disposal. So do you go by gut feeling or past performances, or do you just take cash bribes? How does this work to get on this team?
And
don't worry, I'm not asking for me because, see, I'm in Florida. I'm on the East team, so I'm not asking for me. I'm not trying to. This is not where I'm going with this. I'm just curious. How do you go about? Because the other challenge is, everyone. You're a former U.S. MidAmateur champion. You've played in the circuit for over 20 years. You know everyone. This is great that you're the captain, but it's also going to be a little bit challenging because there's going to be friends of yours that aren't going to be on this team.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be challenging. I mean, unfortunately, it's not my sole, authority to be picking every player, but on those picks that we do get. But, it's just going to be a lot of fun to see everybody jockeying for position and kind of paying attention to the point system that Scott created. And, certainly, Stuart is just, I mean, like I said earlier, he's just at a whole different level right now.
Don't start saying he listens to this podcast and he's just don't say that, because he's just going to get all proud of himself. We know what he's done. Let's just calm down a little bit.
Yeah, I know, but we're hopefully he's got it in his schedule already booked, and we're going to have him a big part of the team. But we also don't want to forget the college players that are going to be playing as well. They were a huge part of it last time with Kirsten Cootie and Mac Mesner and Tyler Strafacci and John Pack, who played for the East. And, so we're really going to pay attention to, those kids that are going to be coming up, and we want to make them a big part of it as well. This is, even though there's only 4 of those players, they're a big part of the East-West matches. And
they had those guys had a blast. I remember them just saying this is the coolest thing. And it was fun for me being able to talk to guys like Pac and Strafacci and Meisner and Cootie, and just kind of say, you see that guy over there? I said, do you know what that guy's done? And then one of the highlights of the entire experience for me was when Harvey and I kind of were able to, and you and everyone, we were all kind of able to calculate the number of USGA appearances in total. Yeah. And that number came out to 637, and just the look on people's faces when that was announced was just beyond.
It's just a mind-blowing number.
God,
it's just crazy, guys. It's so funny because some of the guys were like, dude, I feel I've only played like 5. I feel so insignificant.
I'm a little upset that I wasn't counted, because I bring a grand total of 1 USGA appearance to the total, and I don't think mine was counted. And that's
we'll do some reaccounting next year for that.
That was hurtful. I just felt like I wasn't included. I was like, I mean, I have 1, guys. So we're gonna obviously follow the progression of the points list for the East-West matches as the year, as 2022 progresses. Lots of golf has to be played from now until then. A lot of changes. There's going to be a lot of fluctuations. Obviously, Stuart Hagestad is leading the points right now based off his US MidAm win. But then you have a lot of other guys. Geronimo Esteve just picked up the win at the Devil's Elbow. He's going to play another PGA Tour event. He's right up there as well. Chip Brook won the Gasparilla, won Birmingham. So there's guys that are moving up. There's some guys that are going to need to make up some ground to get on this team. But that's going to be a lot of fun to track that for the next year. But I feel that we kind of need to explain to listeners how you have found your way as the captain of this team, and talk a little bit about your past achievements and maybe your amateur career. The other thing that, obviously graduate of Pepperdine University in '96, 4 collegiate wins. You were, there's many past and current members of this Pepperdine's men's golf program that have been here on the podcast. And, we're going to talk a little bit about your experience in '97 with Jason Gore and Andy Walker and that national championship team. But you follow the current program pretty closely now, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I just am so proud of, what Michael's done, what Beard's done with the program. And, not only obviously just assembling an incredible, you know, group of great players, but just they're all just such good kids. And it's just been so much fun to watch them, have a lot of success. And then you got Sahith out there, on tour. And, it's just been fun. I mean, I think there's just more and more guys coming up. I hope, one or two of them, are playing well and have their schedules open to even play for me on the East-West matches. I think it would be so cool to have at least one of the guys, be part of it. And, yeah, it's been a fun thing to be part of. And we've started, Pepperdine's such a small school and we don't have a long history. I mean, the golf team barely had been started before I got there in 91. And so we don't have this huge, long history and, tons of tour players and all that kind of stuff. So it's just been great to, finally have an alumni that, are now getting to the point in their lives where, they're successful in the business world and they can start giving back to the program and start really, being a part of it again, which is just really special.
Now, I don't want to put you too much on the spot here, but I am going to do it a little bit. Now, you're pretty close to these guys. You know the team fairly well. If you had to grab one of them for perhaps, you and then, partner up with one of these players for like a, South California or a California four-ball kind of outing, which one are you taking? And I don't mean just by skill, because they're all pretty much at the same level. I mean, Mao and Verzic and Hitchner, and I mean, that's all right there. But which one of those do you kind of connect with the best, would you say?
Because
the four ball is all about the hang. That's kind of what I'm getting.
I know. Yeah. I mean, I haven't gotten to know the kids like on a real personal level, but just, I mean, watching them coming down the stretch. I mean, Highsmith was just, I mean, that guy's got some stones, man. I mean, he hit some shots that were so impressive. I'd gotten to know Clay Fiegler well, but obviously he's turned pro.
Right.
But I mean, and him too down the stretch. And I mean, it's just fun. I mean, Mao would be great, obviously, because he, made he was on the Walker Cup team. So it'd be fun to have him on my side against me, against the band.
There you go.
But, we'll see. I mean, they're all, like I said, they're all just such great kids that it'd be fun to, have any of them, but they're, it's just cool. And, a lot can happen obviously between, now and next November.
Yeah.
I don't know 100% who's going to be turning pro between now and then. So we'll see how it all plays out.
I'm just thinking of, do we want Joey Verzic turned loose in an open bar at Maridoe Golf Club for the weekend?
Yeah, I'm not sure I can handle
that's
babysitting duty.
That's a lot of work right there. I'm not responsible. I got to take.
If he does make the team, Beard is coming to be taken care of.
Perfect. Okay. Well, you got a guy with his own handler. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So this story has been shared multiple times on this podcast. The '97 National Championship at Conway Farms. Pepperdine really kind of gets into the national championship. I believe they finished like 9th in regionals. I mean, it was stroke play at the time. It was a very different kind of a national championship, and Pepperdine gets in, and a lot of this story has been shared by Jason Gore, by Andy Walker. They're both members of that team, and the story goes basically is at the time Coach John Geiberger's not feeling too well, and he's kind of run down. And he's sick, and eventually they find out that he had the chicken pox of all things. And gets confined to his hotel room, and there's no one there to coach the team. And you need someone there because, again, it's college kids. Someone's got to make sure they get to the first tee. They know what shirt to wear and everything like that. I mean, someone's got to be in charge. And and you get the call. So we've heard the experience from the players. What was your experience when, at the time you're playing professionally, your phone rings? Take it from there. What happens?
Well, actually, I happened to be there. So what happened was, so I graduated. I had an extra semester before I graduated in December of '96, and then after that, I turned pro, and I was playing on the Hooters tour. And so I think we were in Columbia, South Carolina, or something like that, and we had a week off, and then we had the following week was in a little town called El Paso, Illinois, a few hours south of Chicago. So I was caravanning with Chad Campbell and Chris Riley,
Oh, wow.
and who both played for UNLV, obviously, and then another guy named Drew Fenimore who played for Texas A&M. And so we had been, traveling around all year, and we decided that we were going to go to Chicago to watch the guys play up at Conway Farms, and then we would just go to a couple Cubs games and kind of hang out. And so we got to the team hotel, where all the players were staying, the night after the first practice round, because at the finals you get to play 2 practice rounds, as opposed to most of the regular tournaments. So anyway, so we get there, and the guys had gotten back from the course, and they had dinner, and John was not feeling well. And then the next morning, he woke up and he was like really sick. So he just said, "Hey, can you drive the guys to the course in the van and then, bring it back, whatever." So I was like, "Yeah, no problem." So, do that, go to the, practice round. I walk around, we go to dinner, we get back to the hotel, and he's quarantined in his room with the chicken pox. So then everybody's like calling their moms, have I had chicken pox?
Right.
And it was pretty funny. So fortunately everybody was safe. And so, yeah, I mean, this is before the days of, maybe a couple, programs like Oklahoma State, maybe, and Arizona State had assistant coaches, but I mean, nobody had assistant golf coaches back then. I mean, it was just the head coach and that was it.
Yeah. So,
I basically just, I said, yeah, no problem. I mean, these guys were like my teammates and roommates, 5-6 months ago. So it wasn't a big deal. And so we went out there and we, got off to a decent start. And then as the week went on, I mean, Gore was playing amazing, and Michael Walton was playing amazing, and Andy was playing amazing. And, it just was crazy. And so, all the guys were playing so well. And, basically after 3 rounds, I think we were leading. And it just became like, oh my God, this is real,
This might actually happen because of my leadership and my coaching ability. This might happen.
Yeah. I mean, for the record, that was the only tournament they won all year. I mean, I'm just saying, I don't know if
yeah. Well, and it's the only one you ever coached.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, so it was, the funniest story was like the second hole at Conway Farms was a par 3. And I'm standing back there and I think Paul Meyer goes through his first group, and then Mark Madsen maybe I think was in the second group, and he goes through, and then I don't know if it's either Andy or Michael Walton, and I'm standing back on the tee with we were playing with Oklahoma State and Northwestern, and the coach for Oklahoma State,
Coach Holder.
Yeah, Holder.
Okay.
He's like just a legend in golf, college golf. Is standing back there, and he, after like the third group tees off and they walk off the tee, he looks over to me and he's like, "Who are you?" Like, he goes, "Who are you?" And like, "What are you doing here?" And it was pretty funny.
It's amazing he didn't welcome you into the brotherhood of coaching.
Yeah,
I mean, you've been coaching
idea.
for at least 2 days now. I mean, what happened?
Yeah,
Where's this?
No. This is the last round.
Oh, this is the last round.
Yeah. And so anyway, we ended up playing amazing, and the guys won, and Gore should have won individually. Unfortunately, he kind of had a train wreck on 18.
Yeah, he double bogeys 18 to miss out on the playoff by 1. And I think I talked to him about it, and I've read stuff about it where he's like, "Hey, all I wanted to do is make sure the team won, and the team gets the title, and that's great. But you must have just looked at him and been just sick.
Yeah, I felt really bad. I mean, I kind of walked the last 4 or 5 holes with him, and 17's a par 3, long par 3 down the hill, and he hit a good shot in there, and I can't remember. I think he made par, and so I kind of. Back then too, it wasn't, it's not like you had your smartphone and you could figure out exactly how you stood. So you were kind of relying on leaderboards and whatnot. So I knew we had a lead, but I didn't know how much. And 18's a par 5, but you got to walk back 70, 80 yards back to the tee. So instead of walking back there with him, I kind of just took the shortcut and waited for him. And he ended up taking his driver, and I think he just pulled it a little bit, and he, caught it a fairway bunker. And then he actually hit a phenomenal second shot to get it out of the bunker and over like a creek that crosses the fairway. And then he hit a poor third shot left, and he just plugged it in the face of the bunker and just had nothing. I mean, so it was just a, unfortunate, series of events that led to, having a tough hole, but he just is, Jason is just such an amazing human being and teammate and friend. And, it was so cool to, see after the fact, how he handled it. And, even now to this day, how prideful he is in winning the team and not really, I'm sure there's a piece of him that is disappointed that he didn't win the individual, but it was just a huge, huge event for Pepperdine. I mean, to put us on the map like that, because we had a couple good teams, when I was there, but we just never, had played well in the big moment,
Kind of reminds me of like a Villanova against Georgetown 85 NCAA basketball thing. I don't know why that popped into my head, and that's probably a reference that's a little bit too old for some people listening. But fortunately, you and I are in the same age bracket. We're in the same age bracket, but it kind of reminds me of that a little bit, like a team that's really, I mean, whether it's Oklahoma State or any other team, you're really going up against a juggernaut of more experienced and more established collegiate golf programs, and that's kind of, I mean, is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think it's 100% fair. I mean, I just think that, it's so hard in golf because, you've got, you got to put it together, for 4 days. You need, at least 4 or 5 year guys to all be playing really well. You need the golf course to kind of fit them. And it just, everything really fell into place for us. And, it's just fun to think back, gosh, it's been, 24 years since that happened. And it's just incredible. And it was fun. Actually, we had a MidAm there that, Nathan of course won. I mean, he's won half of them, but
I know all about that one, Kevin, because that's the only one I've ever played in. So that
was the one. Cool.
That was the one. I mean, that, and actually Nathan's mentioned this. Him winning the 2012 US MidAm with me in the field is really the most incredible victory he's ever had. He said that
of the 4. That's
of the 4, the one, because he got through a field that include a future golf podcaster. And then we started talking about, he started asking where I was in the match play bracket. And that's when I said, no, I was in the B flight. I went over to the satellite course, and that's when we stopped talking about that. But anyway, go ahead. 2012, that's my fault.
No, it was just fun to go back there, and actually get to play. Cause I never played the golf course.
The place is easy. Place is easy. Anyone can break 80, even me.
I just walked it, during the tournament, during the NCAA. So to be able to actually get to play it was fun, and have some good memories, and actually struggled over at Knollwood, and then played really well over at Conway and made match play, and lost to Muir in the second round. But it was it's just a cool place, and just brought back a lot of memories, which was fun.
Well, I don't know if that loss against Muir still gnaws at you, but don't worry. He's still kicking everyone's ass, apparently, in the MidAm game right now.
Well, did you see what he did in senior tour school?
No, what happened?
He finished like second at first stage of senior tour school. Shot 14 under. So he may not even be on the West. He may be on tour next year on the Champions.
Oh my gosh,
I'm serious. I mean, he is unbelievable how good he is.
Well, that's one of those. He's been a guest on the podcast, and that's one of those tragic ones. I mean, he was a PGA Tour player, and then he got then he got cancer. He got sick. It was I mean, that was. But yeah, wow. Jeez. Well, you mentioned
watching him to see what he does every year at Pine Valley at the Crown Cup. It's just ridiculous. I mean, the guy just is a ball striking machine and just rolls out of bed and shoots, 68 to 72 every time he tees it up there, which is just insane.
Yeah, Steve was talking about it. He's like, yeah, I was medalist at Crump, and then I go up against Muir, and he kicked my ass like usual. I was like, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
That sounds about right. So see what's waiting for you in senior amateur golf. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But see what's waiting for you if you didn't turn pro. You got all that to deal with. You mentioned
zero chance I'm turning pro.
Well, I mean, you never say never. But now you talked about. But now you did play professionally. You got your status back in 2002. But I heard that magic word that gets mentioned every once in a while here at the back of the range. And anytime I hear it, I got to stop what I'm doing. We got full breaks on the episode, but you played on the Hooters tour.
I did.
And there are always stories. I mean, we got a lot of developmental tours right now. Mackenzie in Latin America, they're owned by the PGA Tour. They're very, very, straight-laced. And there's some mini tours out there, minor league golf tour, APT, they do a great job. But the Hooters tour, I mean, there needs to be a book. There needs to be a movie. I mean, this has such a special legacy. I don't think it's going to be difficult for you to give me at least one story from your days on the Hooters tour that listeners are going to be like, what? Like, that didn't happen. That really didn't happen.
Man, the problem is I'm married now, so I can't tell a couple of the really good stories.
Okay. but were you married while you're on the Hooters tour?
I was not. No,
okay, so what's the problem here? What I mean.
No, I know better now.
Oh, jeez.
I got kids now too, but it was just incredible the places you go and the little towns in the South. These small little towns that have these, golf courses that nobody would have ever heard of. And I don't know if there's any one specific thing that happened, but just staying in housing, I mean, I had no money and, traveling around in my car. I mean, my car was in 38 states. I mean, you think about that. I mean, one vehicle I had for 2 years, played full time on the Hooters tour. I was in 38 states. And, this is no cell phones. I had like one of those little, Nokia phones just for emergencies, basically. And, I had a big Rand McNally map book and I loved it. I was a Boy Scout growing up. My dad was our scoutmaster and my brother was an Eagle Scout. And it was just like, I loved it. I mean, just cruising around, going to these cities and driving all over the country. And unfortunately I didn't play a lot of good golf. I just was never super comfortable playing professional golf. I don't know what, for whatever reason, I just worried too much about the money and never freewheeled it. I just was always concerned about making the cut. So it seemed like every Friday afternoon I'm coming down the stretch and I'm either one shot back or got a one shot lead on the cut line. I was never in contention. I finished third, I think, 1 week on the Hooters tour in Jackson, Mississippi one year. And that was like my biggest check, like $5,000. I mean, it was just ridiculous, so I enjoyed the travel. I enjoyed the guys, enjoyed, doing that stuff. I just never got comfortable playing for money, I always loved, which is what I love about amateur golf. I love playing for the trophy. There's no difference between finishing second and 22nd, in amateur golf. In my mind, you either win or you don't. And, professional golf just wasn't for me. And it's the best thing that ever happened to me not making it, because I had an incredible life and incredible golf experiences in amateur golf that I never would have had, professionally.
Well, you mentioned, you mentioned what amateur golf has done for you. So, obviously the highlight of your amateur career, get your status back in 2002, and you captured the US MidAm in 2005, and I was actually at the honors course where you won it back then, the year, but unfortunately that collegiate tournament was completely rained out, which was really, if I had to say there was a disappointment this year, is me getting all the way to the honors course and then nothing gets played, because that place just looks incredible.
Oh, so cool.
You still hold, I believe, the record for the largest margin of victory in the history of the US MidAm. You won your final 10-9. You mentioned that you weren't comfortable playing professionally, playing for money, and the only thing that mattered was the trophy. And you're playing a match where, really, if you want to talk about a match where the only thing that matters is if you don't win, then who cares? Because what's waiting for you if you win. Not only the trophy, but the Masters. There are all these things waiting for you. It's a question that I ask a lot when people are on the precipice of achieving something incredible. Do you remember that morning and how? First of all, you get off to this great start. Are you thinking, okay, let's protect this, or were you thinking, let's put the hammer down? How do you approach that match, which has got to be the most difficult match for a MidAm all year?
Yeah, it was. We're driving to the golf course. My buddy Chris Bergreen from Alabama, who I had met while I was on the Hooters tour. Had been caddying for me the whole week, that week during the MidAm. And, I'd played well the year before at Sea Island, the year that Austin Eaton won. And I made it to the quarterfinals and kind of learned a lot. I won 2 matches in extra holes and then lost the quarterfinal match in extra holes after being 2 up with 2 to go. And it happened 3 times. So I lost a 2-up lead with 2 to go twice and ended up winning in extra holes. And then I lost a 2-up lead with 2 to go in the quarters, and then lost on I can't remember either the first or second playoff hole. And so I kind of learned, a few lessons there to, not let up. But, neither one of us played very well on the front 9, like decent. I played okay and had I think I was 3 up after 9. And, but Carlton was struggling a little bit. And then I just, for whatever reason, I found something on the back and I played the best 9 holes of my life. I just went crazy. I was birdieing. I think I shot like 30 on the back 9 at the honors course, which, just doesn't happen on a normal day, let alone in a, USGA championship with the greens,
right.
Brick hard and super fast. And, and I got a couple good breaks and I made a really long putt on 14, the par 3, and hit a couple shots real close. And then, Carlton made a couple mistakes, which, gave me a couple holes too, and it just, I was 10 up after 18 holes. So it was one of those where, as long as I just stayed upright,
yeah,
probably going to be able to bring it home. And it just happened so fast. I just think you went from, I went from 3 up to, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 up, like literally in a, 2-hour stretch. So you almost didn't have time to think about it. And similar to like, the opposite of that is when you're in a big moment, like the Masters, and, you're playing and all of a sudden you play a 9-hole stretch 6 over, and it just happens so fast that you can't stop the bleeding. So it was just an incredible thing. But that morning, going to the course, it was, there were some things in the local paper about, because Carlton had went to like high school there.
Yeah, he's from Birmingham.
Yeah, and so he had gone to school in Chattanooga and had a lot of friends and family, and so I think there was the focus was kind of on him and the paper, and so I kind of was like, I took it like you know what, it's me against the world
Yeah.
kind of a thing. And when I showed up and got to the tee, I mean, there were a lot of people out there that were all for him.
They were not chanting. They were not chanting your name.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I had my buddy that was caddying for me, Chris, and his dad had driven up from Northern Alabama to watch the finals. And that was pretty much it. So it was, and I fortunately got to a little bit of a lead, and then it just snowballed from there. And so I never really had a chance to think about it. What I was playing for, I just wanted to beat him and win the tournament. And it's funny because Austin Eaton, who had won it, the year before, we had talked about it after I won. And he says, now the hard parts, and this is why I just have so much respect for, Tim Jackson and Nathan, and now, Stuart and these guys, because it's one thing to do something when you don't really know what you're doing.
Right.
But now that you know how amazing the experiences are after you win, especially obviously playing in the Masters, and now with the addition of getting to play in the US Open and not a guarantee, but at least you've got a real good shot of making the Walker Cup. And it's just like, now you really know what you're playing for, it's even harder.
Yeah, exactly.
And so Austin and I had, we had talked about that a few times, and and I came close. I made it to the semis, 3 more times after that, and it's just hard. It's hard. It's hard physically too as you get older, and not exactly a marathon runner, so it's hard to walk. That much golf. I mean, you're playing 11 rounds of golf in 8 days, and it's brutal.
It's crazy. Well, you play the 06 Masters. You missed the cut, which, truthfully, up until Stuart Hagestad, pretty much every MidAm that has qualified, every US MidAmateur champion has missed the cut. And, he's getting another crack at it next year. And, I know you can share your experience. I wouldn't ask you to speak for every single MidAm, but, I think people on the outside looking in know what makes that appearance at the Masters so special and magical, the aura and the history. But is that also what makes it so tough?
It wasn't necessarily for me. I mean, I think there's obviously a part of it with what you're saying is true, but for me, it was really just the golf course itself is just really, really hard in the tournament. And I wasn't the longest hitter. I'm actually way longer now than I was then. And
really?
It was, yeah. And it was like the first or second year that Augusta really lengthened the golf course. And it's just really hard. I mean, if you're not carrying the ball in the air, 280 in, like literally 280, 285 in the air, you're hitting into a lot of the upslopes, and you're hitting a lot of mid irons into holes where, if you can carry it 285, 290, you're hitting wedges and, short irons in. And so it's just really difficult to play that course unless you have a ton of experience. Obviously, Bernhard Longer goes out there and makes the cut every year. And,
I don't know how that, yeah.
But when he knows how to play the golf course,
right.
And, he knows how to kind of sneak up on it. Right. And I just didn't have that experience. I'm hitting a 6 iron or a 5 iron, and I'm thinking I'm hitting a good shot, and I come up, a couple of yards short or a couple of yards long. And now I got this impossible up and down, and it just makes it tough. But I didn't really care, to be honest. Like I think part of me thought, I had a good chance of maybe doing it again, but I also wanted to, really soak it in. And I had so many friends and family that came there to watch. I really wanted to, just make them proud of who I was and being able to, conduct myself well. And, I was playing with Padraig Harrington, who was in contention for the tournament, and I didn't want to, take anything away from him by trying to, grind stuff out to, shoot 77 when I, whatever, get out of his way, and it's just such a special place. And the fact that they still do this for, amateurs is one thing, but, to be doing it for the MidAm still. And, and I'm just so thrilled that Stewart could make the cut and kind of add a little bit of credibility back to, MidAm golf. And it's just cool because, it's just hard now for MidAms to get in, obviously, big tournaments now. I mean, it's hard for them to get in, the big amateur tournaments.
Yeah.
Because there's so much weight put on the Walker Cup and World Amateur Rankings and all these things that, these tournament organizers really kind of overlook a lot of MidAms that are great players. And so it's just a special event. I mean, every April when the Masters comes on, I just get so many messages from people that were there when I played and just talk about memories. It's just a really cool experience. And to me, that's what it's all about. If I would have got to play 2 more days, it would have been awesome, but it wouldn't have really changed, the memories.
Well, you're talking about memories. One of the best stories I ever heard from a MidAm that got to play in the Masters was from your buddy and my buddy Scott Harvey. He mentioned that the one night he stayed at the Crow's Nest, it was just deathly quiet there, and I think it was him and I think it was Corey Connors, and he had to go downstairs and get a little 6 or a Coors Light and just sit up there in the Crow's Nest. So, do you have anything to compare with Mr. Harvey's Crow's Nest story, or were you probably were too well behaved?
I actually stayed there the whole week.
Really? Okay.
I loved it. I mean, I wanted to really
you wanted to move in,
experience the whole thing. And I hate traffic and I hate, just like tons of crowds and stuff. So like, I just figured, you know what, why would I stay anywhere else when I could literally just walk downstairs into the clubhouse? So, I mean, it was just, I don't know, the whole week was just so cool, and being able to hang out there and none of the amateurs played well that year, unfortunately, but Eduardo Molinari was the US Amateur champion. But we just had so many cool stories every night. Guys would come out. Most of the guys all stayed the first night or two, and then it really was just Clay Ogden who won the Pub Links, and I think Dylan Doherty was the runner-up.
Yep. And then Brian McElhenney was the British champ, and yep.
But just Dylan and Clay and I stayed the whole week, so we would just sit there and like tell stories, like who you played with today, and like the practice rounds are the best. I mean, when I got to play with Crenshaw, I played with Crenshaw, Jerry Pate, and Olin Brown on Tuesday, and then I played with Tiger and O'Mara on Wednesday.
Did you say you played a practice round with Tiger Woods?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Boy, yeah. He must have been intimidated to just tee it up with you for a day, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was kind of funny. I ran into him. I knew him fairly well in college. We'd played, a handful of times together, and obviously both being from Southern California. And so I'd seen him out there maybe 6 weeks or so before the tournament on one of my visits. And I just, ran into him. And he's like, "What are you doing here?" And so, I told him I had won the MidAm.
I work here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he probably thought that's what it was. And so anyway, it was cool. I was like, "Hey, man, I know it's, you got a lot going on." I said, "But I'd love to play a practice round." He goes, "Absolutely." So he goes, "Just see me I'll be here on Monday. See me and we'll set something up for Tuesday or Wednesday." And so, I found him on Monday afternoon over on the short game area, and he goes, "Yeah, you want to play tomorrow?" And I was like, I said, "I already got a game. I'm playing with Crenshaw."
No way. That's the best.
Yeah.
Sorry, my dance card is full. But what about Wednesday?
So Wednesday morning we played, and we just played 9 holes. We played the back 9, and because and then ended up playing the par 3 with Tom Lehman and Fred Funk. But yeah, it's fun because especially with Mr. O'Mara, and he's actually out here at Summit with us now in Vegas. So I get to see Mark, I mean, all the time. I mean, when he's here, so it's pretty cool. And yeah, to be able to, play that, have that experience with Tiger, and was just amazing. And I just have so much respect for what he's done in the game of golf, and he's always been so nice to me. It's just going all the way back. I played with him.
I'm just thinking back, how many people can say a story that Tiger asked to play golf with me and I said, I can't, I'm busy. I mean, I don't know anyone in the world.
At Augusta.
Listen, you can't just spring this on me last minute, Tiger. I got shit to do. I got a game.
That's right. I can't blow off Ben Crenshaw.
Now, I don't want to. I'm just curious. Did you even for a split second think about maybe I do jump ship? I mean, it had to register for a second.
Well, if he would have said it's tomorrow or nothing, I would have been in a real tough spot.
Okay.
Fortunately, I had Wednesday as an option.
Yeah, fortunately for that. Like, hey, Tiger, the week's kind of getting away from me. Can we move this around? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Man, thank God I wouldn't be in that situation, because I would just. Yeah, I'd make a wrong joke and probably get kicked out of the joint. So that's not good. All right. Well, I'm glad you shared that one. Let me get you out of here on this one. We've talked about your amateur experiences. Not just the US MidAm win, but you've won a lot of whether it's Carlton Woods or a lot of amateur events in California. Just a lot of great experiences. But you, just like you mentioned about the East West matches, there are going to be some young kids that are before they turn professional, they're going to participate in the East West matches. They're going to turn pro. They're going to take a crack at it like you did, and not that you would ever talk anyone out of it, but I'm just curious. Can you speak to the opportunities that have been presented to you because of your involvement in amateur golf? And I don't just mean the US MidAm and playing the Masters. I don't mean that. I'm talking about what has your life been like the last 20 years, directly or indirectly, because of the game of golf and playing it as an amateur?
It's everything. It's I tell people golf is really beyond just a sport. I mean, it's a lifestyle, and to have the experiences that I've had, and to be able to walk on the golf course with some of the most successful people in the world, whether it's business or other sports, icons in the game of other sports and stuff. I've found that anybody that plays golf, all wants to be better. They all want to be good golfers. And I don't care if it's, the greatest basketball player that's ever played, or one of the most successful businessmen in the world, whatever. If they play golf, they are dying to become better players, right? And it's just so cool to be able to be in that comfort zone and to be able to spend, 4 or 5 hours with somebody at that level, and to be able, get to know them and be in a situation where they're looking at me and how I play golf as like, something that they want to, learn from. And right. It's just, it just comes across. It's just like a confidence that you have, that you can be in those situations. And it's just meant everything to my business career, and to be able to, work for Discovery Land Company, and being here at the summit, and being around, like Mr. Foley, for example, who owns the Golden Knights, and, is just, and some of the players on the team that I've sold, real estate to, and like Dexter Fowler's out here with, who plays for the Angels, and just all these guys. I mean, I got to play with Charles Barkley out here, and be able to spend the whole day with him, and be able to experience those things. And you just pick up these incredible little nuggets from every one of them, and what's made them successful in their lives, and how certain people treat them and other people treat them differently, and whatever, and it just, I've always just really tried to come across as very genuine and just be who I am. And I'm not that good at very many things, but my dad always kind of taught me, he's like, whatever you try to do, just try to be the best at it, And I just, love golf and love real estate and love my family. And that's about all I really know how to do. Be a good husband, be a good dad, make some birdies every now and then and sell some real estate. So it's just
sounds like you got it. Sounds like you got it figured out. I mean, what else is there? I mean,
not much really. I mean, my wife and I talk about it all the time. We really try to just keep it simple. And it's just, we've been really fortunate, and I'm just so, proud to, have accomplished what I've accomplished in the game of golf, and kind of now taking some time off from, really working on my game and playing in tournaments. And I just want to, take care of my family. And, I'm kind of in the no man's land right now between MidAm golf and senior golf. And hopefully in a few more years, I'll have some time to, start working on my game again and maybe start playing some senior golf.
Yeah, you could be if you were a senior now, you'd have to go up against a guy like Gene Elliott, who wants it. You don't want any part of that nonsense, do you?
No. I'm hoping. See, that's the problem with amateur golf 55, right? So I got like 7 more years before I can start playing senior amateur golf. So, but it'd be fun to play like in the Senior Open or something like that in another 2-3 years. And we'll see. I mean, but it just takes a lot of work. I really respect the guys like Gene and Brady Exper and Doug Hansel and Mike McCoy and these guys. I mean, they really work hard at their games.
God.
Chip Lutz and these guys. I mean, they work hard. I mean, I totally respect that. And I got a late start in life as far as being an adult, and I got a 4-year-old, almost, not even 4. In January she'll be 4. So
oh, wow.
I'm really trying to be a good dad and do all those things that I need to do to take care of them.
Well, Kevin, well said. Gosh, you're giving me something to move towards. I need to get my game ready for senior amateur golf. And I got a little bit longer to work on it than you do. So not much really. I mean, we're talking what, 3-4 years. I mean, we're right there. So all right. And we both played at Conway Farms in 2012. We have so much in common. So
I tell you what, let's meet early, a day or two early at Merrido next November, and we'll play around together. It'd be fun.
Sure, it'd be fun for you to see that happen. So no, that would be fun. Well, we have a long way to go before now in the East-West matches at Merrido, and it's really, congrats on being named captain of the West team. And it's going to be a lot of fun to watch these points. I mean, you're used to watching Wagger, used to watching, point systems and people jockeying for position. This is going to be a lot of fun. So
yeah.
We'll need to reconnect before the East-West matches. But for now, happy holidays. I appreciate you stopping by the back of the range.
Same to you, man. I really appreciate all your support, and look forward to seeing you soon.
And there you have it. Special thanks to Kevin Marsh for joining me on this episode here at the back of the range. Again, follow along on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Every episode is available at the website, thebackoftherange.com. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next time here at the back of the range.